Your body is at war. Right now, this second, millions of invaders trying to kill you. And you have no idea. Not metaphorically at war. Not stressed out at work. War. Actual, biological, full-scale military conflict happening in your bloodstream while you're sitting here watching YouTube. And here's the wild part. You've been fighting this war your entire life. You've won basically every single battle, and you didn't have to do anything. Your body just handled it. Like some insane automated military supercomputer running 24/7 in the background while you eat cereal and watch cat videos. So how does it actually work? How does your body know the difference between you and a virus that's been specifically engineered by evolution to look like you? How does it remember a flu you had 6 years ago? And why does this same system that takes down actual threats sometimes completely lose its mind over a peanut? That last one is going to haunt you. Stay with me. Okay, so let's back all the way up. Because before we can talk about your immune system doing incredible things, we need to talk about what it's actually fighting. Your body is warm. It's wet. It's full of sugar and protein and fat. From a microbe's perspective, you are a luxury resort. The nicest hotel they've ever seen. And every second of every day, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites are trying to check in. Bacteria are these single-celled organisms that just want to eat your stuff and multiply. Some of them are fine. We actually need some bacteria, and that's a whole other video. But the bad ones, they get in through a cut, or your mouth, or your lungs, and they start reproducing. Fast. 1 becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes a million in a few hours. And each one is pumping out little toxic waste products that make you feel terrible. Viruses are weirder and honestly kind of horrifying. A virus isn't even really alive in the traditional sense. It's basically just a tiny piece of genetic code wrapped in a protein shell. It has one goal: get inside one of your cells, hijack its machinery, and force it to make thousands of copies of the virus. The cell becomes a virus factory. Then it bursts open and those copies go infect other cells. It's basically the plot of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it's happening to your liver cells right now, and that's not great. So your body needs a defense system. And not just any defense system, it needs something sophisticated enough to identify threats it's never seen before, remember threats it has seen before, and do all of this without accidentally destroying your own cells in the process. That last part is really important, and we are going to come back to it in a way that will make you feel genuinely sorry for people with autoimmune diseases. But here's the thing. The immune system isn't one thing. It's 2 completely different systems layered on top of each other. And this is where it starts to get interesting. Think of it like this. You're playing a real-time strategy game, think StarCraft, think Age of Empires, whatever, and your base is under attack. You have 2 types of defense. The first type is your standing army. These are the troops that are already deployed, already on the ground, already fighting the second the enemy shows up. They don't need orders. They don't need to know who the enemy is. They just see something that doesn't belong and they attack it. This is called innate immunity. The second type is your special forces. These guys take longer to deploy. They need to be briefed. They need to analyze the enemy, figure out exactly what it is, and then design a weapon specifically for that enemy. But once they do, they're devastatingly effective. And they remember forever. This is called adaptive immunity. Your body has both. And the way they work together, the way the standing army buys time for the special forces to get their act together, is genuinely one of the most elegant systems in all of biology. And we haven't even gotten to the weapons yet. Wait until you hear about antibodies. Wait until you hear what a killer T cell actually does to an infected cell. And wait, seriously, wait until I tell you what happens when this whole perfect system glitches and decides that a harmless grain of pollen is the most dangerous thing it has ever encountered. Your immune system is about to go full self-destruct over pollen. But first, the infantry. So let's talk about the standing army. Innate immunity. The guys who are always there, always ready, no questions asked. The moment something gets past your skin, which by the way is your first line of defense, this giant physical wall of dead cells and antimicrobial chemicals that most things never even breach, the moment something gets through, the innate immune system is on it immediately. Within minutes. Not hours. Minutes. And the stars of this system are cells called macrophages. And I need you to understand what macrophages actually do, because it is both incredible and deeply unsettling. The word macrophage literally means big eater in Greek. That is their official scientific name. Big eater. Because that is what they do. They find pathogens, bacteria, dead cells, debris, anything that shouldn't be there, and they eat it. They literally engulf it. They wrap their cell membrane around the invader, pull it inside, and then hit it with a cocktail of enzymes and toxic chemicals that breaks it down into nothing. This process is called phagocytosis, and it looks like something out of a horror movie at the microscopic level. If you've ever seen footage of a macrophage chasing a bacterium around, and it is literally chasing it, extending little arms called pseudopods, corralling it, cornering it, you understand why I called this a war and not a misunderstanding. But here's the thing about macrophages. They're powerful. They're fast. They're everywhere. But they're not smart. They can't tell the difference between a bacterium you've never encountered and one your body has seen 1,000 times. They just see not self and attack, which is incredibly useful when you need a fast response, but not great for long-term precision. So how does the body know it's dealing with an invader in the first place? This is where things get genuinely clever. Your cells have these surface proteins on them. Think of them like name tags, little molecular ID badges that say, I belong here, I'm one of you. Pathogens don't have these. Or they have the wrong ones. And your immune cells have receptors specifically designed to recognize these foreign patterns. It's not reading the whole enemy. It's just reading enough to know, this doesn't have a badge. Attack. These recognition signals are called pathogen-associated molecular patterns, which is a mouthful, so just call them red flags. Molecular red flags. And when macrophages detect them, they don't just eat the pathogen, they also sound the alarm. They release chemical signals called cytokines, which are basically the immune system's text messages. Invaders detected at location X, sending reinforcements. Those cytokines cause inflammation. Yes, that inflammation. The redness, the heat, the swelling you get around a wound or an infection, that's not the damage from the bacteria. That's your body deliberately flooding the area with immune cells and increasing blood flow to bring in reinforcements faster. Inflammation is a feature, not a bug. Your body is literally setting the battlefield on fire to kill the enemy faster, even if it means some collateral damage to your own tissue. Now here is where we pause, because I want you to hold something in your head for a second. Your body has been fighting off invaders with this system, this fast, broad pattern recognition system, for hundreds of millions of years. Before you were human, before you were a mammal. Even insects have a version of innate immunity. It is ancient. It is conserved. Evolution has been refining this system for so long that it is essentially perfect at what it does. And what it does is buy time. Because the real power, the part of your immune system that makes viruses and bacteria and the entire field of virology tremble, that takes a few days to spin up. And it is, genuinely, one of the most sophisticated things that has ever evolved on this planet. Here's the awe moment. Ready? Wah. The adaptive immune system can recognize, theoretically, over 100 million different molecular shapes. 100 million. It does this with a relatively small number of genes through a process called J recombination, where it shuffles gene segments like a deck of cards to generate essentially random combinations, each one producing a receptor with a slightly different shape. It is, functionally, a biological lottery system that generates billions of different keys, hoping that one of them fits whatever lock the invader has. The fact that this works, that this random shuffling process consistently produces cells capable of recognizing threats the body has never seen before, is not something we should just gloss over. That is insane. That is evolution solving a problem that human engineers would need a supercomputer to approach. And it does it with cells. In your blood. Right now. The cells doing this are your lymphocytes, B cells and T cells. And they are nothing like the macrophages we just met. Where macrophages are blunt force infantry, B cells and T cells are special forces with custom-built weapons. They don't just attack anything. They train, they specialize, and when they find their specific target, the exact molecular shape they were randomly generated to match, they don't just fight it. They remember it. For the rest of your life. But how do they find their target in the first place? How does a B cell that's been sitting in your lymph node ever actually encounter the specific pathogen it was built to recognize? That's where a very important middleman comes in. And this middleman is the bridge between your dumb fast army and your smart slow one. The middleman is called a dendritic cell. And if the macrophage is infantry and the T cell is a sniper, the dendritic cell is the intelligence officer. Its whole job is to grab pieces of whatever it just destroyed, tiny molecular fragments of the pathogen, display them on its surface like a wanted poster, and then travel to the lymph nodes to show every B cell and T cell it can find. This display mechanism is called antigen presentation. An antigen is basically any molecular fragment that the immune system can recognize as foreign. And the dendritic cell is essentially walking into the lymph node barracks holding up a piece of the enemy and saying, "Does anyone know this guy? Does anyone have a key that fits this lock?" And in the lymph node, there are millions of naive T cells. Untrained, never activated, each one carrying a different randomly generated receptor. The dendritic cell circulates until it finds the one T cell whose receptor matches the antigen it's carrying. When that happens, when the receptor fits the antigen, that T cell activates. And when it activates, it doesn't just go fight. It clones itself. Hundreds of times. Thousands of times. A whole army of T cells, all specific to this exact pathogen, floods out of the lymph node and into the bloodstream. Some of those T cells become killer T cells, cytotoxic T cells. These are the ones that hunt down any cell in your body that has been infected by the virus and destroy it. They don't eat it like a macrophage. They inject it with proteins that trigger the cell to self-destruct from the inside. It's called apoptosis, and it sounds brutal, but it's actually deeply elegant. By triggering a controlled death, the killer T cell prevents the infected cell from releasing more copies of the virus. It's a surgical strike. Precision demolition. The other T cells become helper T cells, which coordinate the whole response, activating B cells, sending more cytokine signals, and keeping the immune response running at full intensity. Now, the B cells. B cells are the ones that make antibodies. And antibodies are the immune system's greatest technological achievement. An antibody is a Y-shaped protein. That's the actual shape, a literal Y, and each antibody is designed to bind to one specific antigen with insane precision. When a B cell gets activated by a helper T cell, it starts pumping out antibodies by the millions. These antibodies flood your bloodstream, find their specific antigen on the surface of a bacterium, on a virus particle, wherever, and latch on, tagging them, marking them for destruction. Sometimes the antibody itself neutralizes the pathogen by physically blocking the part it uses to infect cells. It's like sticking a key in a lock, just to stop anyone else from using it. And then, after the infection is cleared, most of the army stands down. But not all of it. A small population of B cells and T cells stick around permanently as memory cells. And this is the reason vaccines work. When your body encounters that pathogen again, even decades later, it doesn't need to start from scratch. The memory cells are already there. They recognize it instantly. They respond in hours, not days. The pathogen gets wiped out before you even feel sick. Your body literally learns. It remembers. It gets better at fighting specific threats over time. That is not just cool. That is the whole reason you are alive right now instead of dead from measles at age 4. Okay? So we have this incredible, multi-layered, precision-engineered immune system that can recognize 100 million different threats, build custom weapons for each one, and remember every enemy it has ever defeated. So why Does it sometimes completely lose its mind over a peanut? Allergies. Here we go. An allergy is what happens when the adaptive immune system makes a mistake. Specifically, it makes a mistake during training. When you're first exposed to something harmless, pollen, peanut proteins, pet dander, your immune system is supposed to look at it, say, not dangerous, no response needed, and move on. But in some people, for reasons we still don't fully understand, the system classifies that harmless thing as a dangerous threat. It mounts a full immune response. It makes antibodies against pollen, against peanuts, against the universe. And then, the second time you encounter that thing, N. Memory cells activate. Antibodies deploy. Your immune cells release histamine, which causes inflammation, which causes your nose to run, your eyes to water, your throat to swell. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's fighting an infection. The infection just doesn't exist. It's fighting a peanut like it's the Black Death. In the most severe cases, anaphylaxis. The response is so massive and so fast that it can kill you in minutes. Your entire immune system going full nuclear over something that is, objectively, a snack. And here's where we zoom all the way back out. Remember, the hook. You are at war right now. In almost every battle, you win. The system works. It's a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, built over hundreds of millions of years, running in the background of your life, keeping you alive through threats you don't even notice. But it's not perfect. It never was. Evolution doesn't build perfect, it builds good enough. And sometimes, good enough looks like a killer army that saved you from 100 pathogens and then tried to destroy you because you ate trail mix. Here's the question nobody has fully answered yet. Why do some people's immune systems make this mistake and others don't? And we have theories, the hygiene hypothesis, genetic factors, early childhood exposure patterns. But the honest answer is we don't really know. We don't know why the training process fails in some people and not others. We don't know why allergies are getting more common in industrialized countries. We don't know how to fix it without also turning off the system that keeps you alive. Your immune system is the greatest defense mechanism in the history of life on Earth. It is also absolutely terrified of pollen. And that contradiction, that beautiful, absurd contradiction, is what makes biology the most interesting subject in the universe.